Gentleman yields back. I now recognize the ranking member, gentleman from California, Mr. Swalwell, for his second 5 minutes of questions.
Dr. Gleason, what is the status of Lawrence Livermore's other partnerships, including its support for the National Infrastructure Simulation and Analysis Center?
Those are in a similar status to our support for cybersecurity, our work for National Risk Management Center, again, looking at infrastructure interdependencies and cascading consequences of disruption to infrastructure, has been going on for a decade. Our interagency agreement expired in March for that work.
Folks, let me tell you something. This latest hearing on cybersecurity and infrastructure should wake every single American up. Because what we just heard is exactly what many of us have been warning about for years. Our government, our critical systems, and even our national security are being left wide open while politicians play games in Washington.
In just over 2 months, I'm sorry, did someone else? You're good? In just over 2 months, the Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act of 2015, the other CISA, is set to expire. And Mr. Jimenez alluded to this. It's essential that we act promptly to reauthorize it in a clean way, and I'm open to any reforms that we could discuss down the road under the chairman's leadership of the full committee. But I think there is a wide consensus that we don't have time to do that now. Congress will be in recess effective this week until after Labor Day, and then we will be right up against CISA's expiration. Ms. Bolton, your testimony discusses the importance of reauthorizing CISA 2015. What would be the national security impact if the law lapses?
The estimates are that about 80 to 90% of information sharing would be cut off from the federal government. When I was at the Cyberspace Solarium Commission, one of the main things that we tried to do was to make sure that the federal government at least had a full threat picture. And this authority is part of that work, a significant part of that work, and we must reauthorize it. If we are about 2 years away from a contingency with China in 2027, as ODNI has said, then we have to be fully prepared. We have to be taking steps now and not just addressing, the information sharing piece. That should be a baseline. It should be a given. And we should be focused on the additional steps that we need to take. So I hope that that gets reauthorized quickly and that we can move on to some of these other topics that we've been discussing and addressing some of the other extremely serious issues, because China is not waiting. China is preparing now, and so are all our other adversaries.
And Mr. Lee, your experience in the private sector, is there any world where CISA 2015 lapses and a private sector company that has been hit would still be willing to come forward and share information with the Department of Homeland Security?
No, I think it's incredibly important to reauthorize it, and the bidirectional communication from government to private sector, especially on the threat picture overall, is exactly one of the roles and responsibilities that makes a lot of sense.
And then that's because no CISO would be able to go to the DHS without liability protection
Yes.
and their fiduciary duty to the shareholders. I mean, they would be exposing themselves to a lot of risk. Is that right?
Absolutely, and that's actually a broader issue, even looking from a National Guard perspective of could we go in and respond to a utility that gets hit? We have no indemnification to give utilities, so they're not gonna let us touch anything and do any action on it. There are very simple bureaucratic things that can be fixed to increase national security tomorrow.
Thank you. Yield back.
Now, Congressman Swalwell, the same guy who's been caught up in all kinds of shady dealings, asked about Lawrence Livermore's partnerships and their work on cyber vulnerabilities. And here's what we learned. Their agreement expired back in March. That means for months we've had gaps in our visibility. You heard that right. Gaps in protecting the systems that keep our nation running. Dr. Gleason laid it out clear as day. The real danger isn't just an attack on one power grid or one network. It's the cascading consequences, the domino effect, where one weak spot can take down entire defense capabilities. And the example he gave? Guam. Think about this. Guam is critical to defending against China, yet its power company is tiny, underfunded, and vulnerable. That's like putting the lock on your front door but leaving the back door wide open for the enemy. And trust me, China knows it. But here's the kicker, folks. The Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act of 2015, the law that makes sure private companies can share cyber threat information with the federal government, is about to expire in just weeks. And if it does, we lose 80 to 90% of that information flow. 80 to 90%. That's like flying blind while our enemies prepare for war. And don't forget, our own intelligence community has already said that by 2027, we could be facing a contingency with China. That's less than 2 years away. Do you really think Beijing is waiting around for Congress to get its act together? No. They're preparing right now. Here's my take. Congress needs to reauthorize this immediately, without playing politics. We don't need pork barrel nonsense. We don't need delays. We don't need partisan bickering. Our enemies don't care about your political party. They care about finding our weaknesses. And let me make this crystal clear. If CISA expires, private companies won't share information. Why? Because without liability protections, they're wide open to lawsuits from shareholders. That means when an attack happens, the federal government won't even know the full threat picture. That's insanity. Mr. Lee even pointed out another problem. The National Guard can't respond to a cyber attack on utilities because bureaucrats won't let them touch the systems. Simple ID and liability issues could be fixed tomorrow, but they haven't been. Why? Because Washington is too busy with endless investigations, culture wars, and wasting your tax dollars. As a patriot, I've got to say this. If our leaders don't take cybersecurity seriously, if they don't defend our infrastructure like they defend their own power, then they are betraying their duty to protect this country. We can't afford weakness. We can't afford inaction. And we sure as hell can't afford to let China or any other adversary get the upper hand. America is worth defending. Our people, our power grid, our freedoms, they're worth defending. It's time Congress proves they care about this nation more than their political careers. Because if they don't, our enemies will find the back door. And by then, it'll be too late. If you're with me and you believe we need strong national defense and accountability in Washington, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe. Patriots, we've got to stay vigilant because our government sure isn't. God bless America.